Hello, it's May the 26th, and right now I am meant to be in the Caribbean. So, I've never had a holiday like that, an all inclusive in a place with, the golden sand and the blue sea. And after several years without any holidays abroad, last year we found out our children were off to Portugal with their grandparents, and we thought, we've got a week that's just the two of us. And we put a lot of money into the house, and we're always really sensible. And we thought, you know what, we're going to do it. And we booked a holiday, and we have been making the payments each month. And there's been times with all the rising bills and things, we thought, what are we doing? But we'd committed to this, and we thought, right, we're going to do it. And then yesterday, due to various things, traffic on the M1 and the M25, accidents, and a misunderstanding about parking, because we were told it was purple parking drop-off. When we got there isn't a purple car park, it's the name of the company, and it was the orange car park. Well, those things meant that we arrived at check-in at 16 minutes past 11, and it didn't work, so we printed off the slip and went to find a member of staff, and they told us there was nothing that could be done. Check-in had closed at 11, we were too late, we'd missed our flight. And at that point, I just thought, well surely something, there's going to be a solution, we'll get the next flight. So we tried speaking to the airline, tried speaking to the holiday operator, and essentially, because it was our fault, our mistake, there was nothing to be done. And the next flight was available on Saturday, and it would actually have cost £3,500, which was more substantially more than the holiday itself. So we had a quick look around, trying to think, could we fly from a different airport? What could we do? And we were a bit just in a state of shock, really, because you've saved for something, you've planned for something, and it hasn't happened. And all throughout yesterday, really, it's just all sorts of different emotions coming. And we all face disappointment. You've probably not faced that exact scenario, but there's other things in life. And I feel like, for me, I'm unwittingly becoming an expert in disappointment. There's been jobs that I've applied for and been disappointed that the rejections come. Another job I had as a TA, I thought that was going to be brilliant, coming from a youth work background, to work in a school, to be able to support children, and that didn't work out at all. It was a really difficult season. I've been made redundant. My father caught COVID, and we prayed, and so many people were praying and really believing that he'd be healed, and we're disappointed because the healing wasn't in this world, but to go home to our Father. And how do we bounce back? How do we bounce back from that? Because we could get overwhelmed. And I remember hearing a female preacher once, and she was from Canada, and she was talking about, like, don't have a little pity party, don't stay in that place. And we have to kind of move on. And gosh, when I say about disappointment, so many disappointments in my life. But when I was in the refuge, women's refuge, there was a poster on the office wall that said, don't look behind you. And you have to let go of these things, because there's nothing you can do to change it. And yesterday, I'm in tears when we're driving around car parks trying to find a space, because I'm thinking, we're not going to make it. And then once that final call was made that nobody was going to help us, we weren't going to get any money back, then the tears stopped. And I just reminded of David. He had a child through his affair with Bathsheba, and his attendants can't understand it. It's like, you were weeping and wailing, and now the child's died, you've washed your face and dressed, and they couldn't understand it. But once it's over, and there's nothing you can do to bring it back. And that might be a marriage, it might be a job, it might be a relationship you didn't get to mend before someone passed away. Sometimes things are lost, and if we just stay in that place, it will eat us alive. And one of the things that I did yesterday when I did get back to the house was to do a bit of gardening. And there's some weeds I've been meaning to clear. And honestly, the roots of these weeds are so deep, and I'm having to dig down deeper and deeper and clearing the soil to really get underneath and see what's happening. And all I just kept feeling was that God was saying, just root out the bitterness, because I don't know why that happened yesterday. Is it just human error? Is it because, is it some sort of weird discipline? Is it the devil, not wanting me and my husband to have that week together? What is it? I don't know. It's just one of those things. But it would be so easy to let the disappointment seep in and take root. So I really believe that in these situations, the best thing is to do what you don't feel like doing, to do what's not natural to do, which is to praise and worship God. And so even in the airport, as we waited for the people to get our car from long-term parking, just singing Raise a Hallelujah. And on the way home, I was saying to Adam, there's a song we used to sing, better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. And then it came on the Christian radio station not long after. So I really encourage you, if you understand that kind of disappointment, to try and stir up your spirit and say, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. And ultimately, sometimes things don't work out the way we planned, but we can enter his presence through thanksgiving, we can enter his courts through praise, and then we can come up with a new plan.